You're tuned into the Inspirational Diva Show here on DFWIGospel.com. You just heard Do It Again by Morgan Monk. She's a local gospel artist here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex area. Make sure that you go to her Facebook page and support her music. But we're back talking to our guests here. We have Cleveland and Amanda, and we also have Angelique and Greg. You can't say Angelique. Angelique. French accent. And so before we went to break, Donna, you posed a question to Amanda, and so Amanda, we can go ahead and just kind of like give us a brief on the question, and we're going to answer that question.
So again, just wanted to ask you, how does your Caucasian kids feel about an African American being in the home, and then of course you having a mixed child?
Well, for us, everybody is the same. There's no black brothers and sisters. Everybody's brother, everybody's sister, and there's no differentiation there. It's all love.
And I just have to say for myself, just meeting Amanda's family, it's no color.
Yeah, there's not.
They are, I mean, like even Donovan, they call him grandson. Christmas, I think he may get more than Trevor and Alexis. I mean, Amanda's family is just so open and loving. So that's what I got out of.
Yeah, they really are. They made. I've probably dated every race to walk the world. But,
yes.
I would definitely say that made. Meeting her family and them taking me in. I mean, everyone from, there's not a single person that I've encountered in her family that has shied me away or treated me any differently. So it made my transition so awesome. I can't even explain it. It's probably the first time that I've had that much welcomeness, from someone that wasn't my skin color.
Even the dog.
Yeah.
I think people have evolved a little bit more, so it's a little bit more accepted, and that's a good thing. But we still have those out there that don't accept it, and there's no change in them, But we pray for those people. Yeah, they'll get over it. But what I want to know, Greg and Angelique, did your children ever come home from school with issues that they face because someone, said something about them being of a mixed race?
Yeah, I remember Gregory, our oldest, he was still in daycare, and we were at Walmart. We were just going down the aisle. And,
Walmart's been around a long time.
It's been a long time. And so time almost stopped, and he said, "Daddy, are you really my daddy?"
Oh, man.
And so I'm the type. Yes, that's right. And so I'm the type where I address things immediately.
Yeah.
So and it was the other children, who see Angelique coming in to pick him up, then all of a sudden see me picking him up. Yeah, this is my daddy. And so that was probably the toughest part, because at that point you say, how could you go 3 or 4 years of no problems? You start getting to that, pre-K kindergarten kind of, and then all of a sudden that comes out. So, what I try to do is make sure that each of my children, we go to church every week, and in the Catholic faith we say peace be with you, and we shake hands, and I say to each member of our family, peace be with you, and I love you. And so it takes a lot as an older guy to sit there and say I love you to somebody, but they need to end up knowing that. But sitting down and making sure that there was a clear line of communication, that they understood that we are different. And so as a joke, the first time I told Gregory to go back, and I said, well, why don't you ask those children, isn't your father white? And so he went back and told and then we still had to handle it. I know Angelique had some times that the kids came home to see her.
Gabrielle did a lot, but Gabby has this voice. I'm sorry. Gabby has this voice. She just gets it on a different level. She, did she say the little girl's name? Probably not, no. This little girl, growing up, would just abruptly just come up to Gabrielle and was like, are you adopted because your daddy's white? And Gabby didn't understand that, because in her mind, she assumed all kids' families were two different colors, and she'd be like, well, why is your parent the same color? And so, in her mind, that's how she would do it and process and move on. I don't think Garrett had any issues. I don't remember him coming back home questioning. He was more concerned with everybody touching his head. He didn't understand why everybody has to touch my hair because it's curly. And even then, growing up, I think as teens, they had no issues dating outside their race. The boys did a little bit more. Gabby had none. It seems like being a girl, dating outside is a little bit easier than boys. Like there was a challenge there. And so again, we would always have the conversation with the boys. Look, no one's going to love you like your family does. Yeah. So you have to be ready for that. That's a leap of faith you're taking, doing so. And you kind of have to know the people who you're dating. Yes, you love the kids. You're great with them. They're your friends. You have no idea what's in their home life. And so we always have to have that conversation. If you're not comfortable, your gut says different, then step away from it. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think Black History Month was always very, very interesting. You asked a question about schools, and so it was very difficult because the schools that they went to didn't have a lot of folks like them, and it was the school's policy to send out a letter to say, hey, we're going to be covering these topics. We're going to talk about slavery. We're going to talk about some different things. And there were even times that little children would come up to our children and say, I'm so sorry what my great-grandpa probably did to your grandpa. And you had to handle that emotional side because they're thinking, what do you end up meaning? And so,
they like, awkward.
Exactly. So I think the folks that put Black History Month together, even 25 years ago, what a wonderful thing to expose children right now to what's going on.
Yeah, and I know they did send letters home. Like again, the private schools send letters. They did a study. Well, they did this little one-day event. They did it brown eyes, blue eyes. So, and of course, everybody got letters letting you know if your children are upset. So anyone who had brown eyes became a blue-eyed person. Blue-eyed kids got to eat ahead of everyone. Brown-eyed kids had to eat second. So they didn't do it in a whole, it was more of like, the kids felt like, well, why do they get to eat first? Well, they have, and that's kind of how they open up the dialogue. And believe it or not, some parents did not participate. And I thought to myself, this is the moment. This is where this is forming. And our kids were fine with it. Though sometime as they got older as teenagers, when they would have the conversation about slavery, they would like, Mom, everybody's eyes are just turned to us. They're kind of like, just keep focusing on their teacher. But that's because that's just the underlying way of world. They want they're uncomfortable. So like, are you uncomfortable? How are they're reading you to see how you respond. And we remember that back in the day, but I think nowadays these kids are so multi-diverse with themselves, it doesn't matter. They have these open dialogue. And of course, when they go to college, it's even more so. I think the lines are blurred even more. It's just for them to remember that as they go out to their adulthood life that, reality does come back and hit them in the butt at times. And it's just if you just give them that good ground base.
Right. I have a question for both couples. Now, I read your bio, and I know that you said that you've taught your children about both sides of the religious aspect, the holidays, embracing both cultures. And so I want to know, for you guys, did you see them gravitate more to one culture, like, oh, maybe I like the African American side better than I like the Caucasian side? Did y'all see that, or did they just embrace both and just just do both sides? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what happens is that when you go to the religious side, there's a big difference when you go to a Black Catholic church, you go to a white Catholic church, and so that part of the spiritual side, the singing. Gabrielle's a wonderful singer. Angelique was also the same way. So on that part, hey, we want to go ahead and experience this. So there was always a lot of fun of when we would travel to, let's go to a different church. Let's just go to a place we've never been. So that was great. I think when our children are closer to Angelique's skin color, and so they look like they're African American. And I think she said a little bit earlier, no matter what you say, this is the way they end up feeling. So I think what they've had to do is kind of position themselves in this white world to end up saying, how can I benefit from this? And the way I benefit from it is that we have moved so many different times, they've had to make friends. And we moved.
People thought we were a military family because we moved 5 times. Your kids just kind of, they're friends with everybody. Right. But I think because we moved so much, they had to acclimate and make it their own and make it be themselves and be like, you'll find your friend group. I think Gabrielle has the most diverse friend group. She has every race possible as her friends, and which is really great. And the boys do too. They have their good core people. I don't think they gravitated towards one. Of course, again, I think we kind of kept them in a little bit of a shell because most of the schools are predominantly white, and so they venture either way. And then you had, a few Asians, there were some Indians. So I think each of those eclectic groups that then blend where they didn't have to choose. I don't think they ever had to choose. Do you think? I don't think they ever had to really choose. Like they didn't have to choose or were comfortable. And then going home and visit my family, that's a different bit of a culture shock because everybody's black. And of course we get going down, oh, y'all kids speak so bougie. No, they don't speak so bougie. No, that's how they speak. Stop telling it's my babies. You know?
Yeah. Well, and Angelique's from Crowley, Louisiana. And so, you know, when they get the opportunity to go home, one of the things that I did, my dad's in Lake Charles, Louisiana, so just past the Texas border. And I made it a point, you know, if I ever went to see my dad with the kids, I would drive that 45 minutes over to see Angelique's side of the family if she wasn't with us, because it was important for them to end up seeing those particular things. And ultimately, you came from a couple of different places, but it's who you are, and you have to embrace that. So I think...
I don't think they've ever chosen. They don't think they've ever had to choose a side. That's
okay, and as our time is winding up, Amanda and Cleveland, I want to ask you this. When you all got together, you had your children, and Cleveland, you had your son. Did you all teach your children about the different cultures that you were in? Did your children want to do some of the things that Clebo wanted to do? Clebo. That's it. I mean, did you all start embracing each other's cultures?
I think it was kind of full immersion. You know, wherever we were, that's what we did. So we, you know, he's the first black guy that I've dated, and so I got my first, you know, crash course in soul food. Which was great. And, you know, the kids have really embraced all of that culture, and Donovan has embraced ours. So it's been a really easy kind of.
That's good.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, it wasn't. Definitely not hard as far as that, because and kind of like Angelique and Greg, you know, me and my son, actually even myself, I was raised in Pleasant Grove, Texas, so I grew up in the hood, and then I moved to the suburbs, and I explained that to him all the time. You know, when we moved from Arlington to Little M, he was like, "Oh my gosh!" But I was like, "Look, dude, this is why I'm able to speak to anybody." Because he's always saying, like, "Man, you can just walk up to people and talk." And I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like, "That's why, because I can deal with these people. I can deal with these people because I've moved so many times during my upbringing that I've had to adapt and learn. You know, that everybody, for the most part, wants to see you, you know, do good, and you know, there's always going to be those that don't, but you find those people and you stick with them and you learn how to work with people, and that's one thing that I learned from being in sports.
Baseball kid.
You know, a lot of the times you're on a team, the guy hits the ball to shortstop. When he hits the ball to your shortstop, it doesn't matter if he's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, he's going to throw it to first base. That's your teammate. You're happy that we got the out. So you learn a lot through that.
All right, everybody. Well, our time is winding up, but I want to say thank you so much for being our guest today. You've given us a lot of information and got good comments from those that are listening on Facebook Live. So I just pray that God continue to bless your family.
Thank you for the invite.
And that you're welcome, and that you all can just continue to grow. And someone told me years ago when I got married, that marriage is for ministry and not misery. So it doesn't matter if you're mixed, if you're same race, whatever the situation is, marriage is for ministry. And I think that with y'all's relationships, y'all have more of a ministry, because you can let people know that not only can man and woman get together, but races can get together and they can love. And so I just pray that God continues to bless you all and everything that you're doing, and bless your children and all of their endeavors as well. All right, everybody, it's time for God's text message of the day. Before Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, or Metro PCS had text messaging, God had already given us the greatest text message of all, and that is the Word of God. We need to find ourselves forwarding that Word out so that others can be blessed by what God has to say to His people, and we must reply to the text message by applying it to our lives. Today, God's text message of the day comes from Isaiah 32:17, and it says, "And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever." All right, so that's God's text message of the day, Isaiah 32:17. Don't forget you can tune into the Inspirational Diva Show every Saturday here on DFWIGospel.com at 10 a.m. Remember that I love you, Jesus loves you. There ain't a thing you can do about that. Kicking a shout out to Big Husky. Thank you so much for being the greatest producer.
Yes.
You're so awesome.
Yes.
And I see that you're still wearing your What is Alopecia hat.
I've wore it every day since I got it.
Really?
That is so sweet.
We had a guest on here that had alopecia, a young girl. She had alopecia, so she has started an organization and everything to bring more awareness to those that have alopecia. And so Husky is just proudly wearing his alopecia
Can I
shirt.
tell you something?
Tell
At
me.
least 4 times a day, people come up to me and say, "What is alopecia?"
Really?
Oh,
So
wow.
I literally had to go and learn what is alopecia,
Awesome.
so that I can really.
See how you just get educated on the
Right.
Inspirational Diva show?
And then people really come to me. Like I was eating lunch yesterday at Salada, and the man just walked by. He stopped. And he talked to me about alopecia.
Wow.
He loved my hat.
Wow.
Just everything.
See?
So
That's good.
you know, I bring awareness.
You do. Well, we're going to close out the show with another song by Morgan Monk, and it is called Show Me the Way here on DFWIGospel.com. And don't forget, up next we have Teapot. All right, Teapot coming up next. Thank you all. You all have a blessed, prosperous, and productive weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Facebook.
You got
Love
10
you.
seconds.
Did everything you can do.
I got 10 seconds.
You got 10 seconds. You can't
Dallas
just be leaving
Cowboys
early.
rock.
Yeah, beat the pack.
Yeah, you
Beat the
baby.
pack.
Thank you for my 10 seconds. Cowboys.
Yeah.
I turned it off. Since you don't want to hang.
Everybody, thank you all so much. This was a great show. Appreciate
It
all of
was.